I'm Peter Millar, and this is 10 Minute Workshop, where 10 minutes in the workshop is never enough, it's never 10 minutes, and it's never 10 minutes wasted in the workshop. This week, well, I'm making a bespoke DJ table. Yeah, so anytime now, we'll be moving right along to the groovy sounds of my DJ jingle. It's coming up next. So, if like me, you're wondering what the heck is a DJ table, well, it turns out it's a bit like a sideboard. Down the bottom here, you've got space for your long playing records, a little shelf above for incidentals, and on the top you've got space for 2 gramophone players. Astonishing, the things they do these days. All in all, it's a pretty straightforward, pretty simple little construction. 1500 long, 500 deep, 900 high. The section is 50mm throughout. So I'm going to build this up out of course, it's going to be MDF, and I'm going to laminate this up with 25mm core and 12mm on either side, so it's going to bring it up to about 49mm, plus a couple of layers of glue and several layers of paint. It'll be close enough to 50mm, as makes no difference. It's pretty straightforward. The actual construction, it's a bit like a very simple jigsaw that you have to put back together in exactly the right order, because it's just going to be glued and screwed together. Obviously I want to avoid having to fill any pinholes around the edges, so the outer skin will go on last of all. And then on the very ends, to cover up these laminations, I'm going to cap everything with 6mm MDF, just to present a cleaner, smoother finish. All in all, not a hugely difficult construction, but a little bit challenging in regard to the order that you put it together in, and of course you do need to be quite accurate with the cutting, and I'm going to start doing that now. These sections are too long for my fence, so I've clamped a block to my bench top to act as a stop, cutting the 12mm outer skins and the 25mm inner ribs quickly to size and working my way through my cut list. Okay, so I'm down this end of the bench because I want this to be out of the way while it glues and sets, because I've got to put some sort of heavy weights on this. I've got a stop, a stop screwed to the bench here. I know from my drawing that the inside base needs to butt up against a 25mm section, so I'm just going to offer these up and line it up with the front edge of the base, front and back for these ribs, and one in the centre approximately. This isn't sort of written in stone. Then what we'll do, we'll glue this inside skin on so that it lines up nicely with the edges. We'll have, according to the drawing, a 25mm gap in the middle, and then we'll have this skin glued on at the end, at the other side here. Again, just lined up nicely with the edges. You can always, if there is any slight discrepancy here, I can trim that back with a track saw. What I'm doing, I'm gluing this top piece on, but not to the bottom, specifically so that when it comes to fit the middle kind of centre upright shelf here, these pieces will go in like so, and I can screw those in up through the base. Then this bottom skin will go on afterwards, and obviously this this upright will have a, not these, but it'll have an inside skin like that glued in. Then there'll be another shelf and another one. So for now, I need to start some gluing. With the inner skin in place, I'm marking the glue lines in pencil, applying some rapid set PVA with a foam roller, then making sure the edges are aligned, applying some weight before moving on to the next section. Okay, so next up I'll be dealing with these centre shelves. Check that the boards are matched to start with.
Again, it's PVA glue spread evenly and everything all clamped together. And we might as well make use of the extra weight while everything sets. Next up is our full width top shelf, and I'm only gluing one side of this in place right now for reasons that will become clear when we start the construction. Here I'm just cleaning up the edges of our two middle shelves and the base with a track saw. And now we're making up the central support, marking up the glue lines as before, then clamping it all up carefully to make sure the edges stay aligned.
So next up I'm going to build the ends. Obviously these will go this way and then have a 12mm skin on the inside here. I'm going to make them on the flat, and I'm actually just going to build them on the base because we've got the centre piece in place here. It's all unclamped and glued up now, and I'll just use that as a convenient sort of stock lock. I can line these up more or less with the centre. They don't have to be perfect. So we've got a 25mm base and a 12mm top skin. Need to go there. So we'll just mark where the glue comes to.
The right hand middle shelf needs a few dominoes, so I'm cutting these now, simply referencing off the base of the domino to give an approximate centre in the 25mm ribs.
Okay, so we're just about ready to start popping this together. Nothing terribly sophisticated about it. Glue and screws. Obviously I've pre-drilled the base. This is just going to slot into there, like so. It'll be screwed through from underneath. I'll get it located by the front first, and I can tip it over on its back and do the others. So we'll get that going now.
With the centre section glued and clamped, I can start fitting the ends in place, and these have been pre-drilled and glued in the usual way. With the carcass still in clamps, we can move on to fitting the centre shelves, clamping it all up tight before driving home the screws. The right hand shelf dominoes need a bit more persuasion, but they fit snugly. Next we can fit the inner 12mm skins to the end and centre uprights, taking care that they stay aligned whilst clamping them up.
Okay, so that's not quite every clamp I own in use. Not by a long way actually, but yeah, it's all looking alright. Okay, so all the clamps off. I've moved it down this end of the bench so we've got a nice flat surface. There is a very slight dip when it goes over the MFT. We're just going to glue and screw this piece in, and then the 12mm top we'll just glue on top of that to give a nice clean edge to it. But as before, I'm going to pre-drill first.
With the top removed, we can glue up the mating surfaces, then lift it carefully, because it's heavy and covered in glue, into place, applying the usual persuasions to align everything nicely before screwing it down. And the last job of the day is to fit the top skin to the top shelf in the usual way.